Welcome to New York, Mr. Bond. I've taken the liberty to include a welcome gift with your car to ensure your arrival is celebrated in the most explosive manner. Do not think of stopping to disable the bomb, as slowing your car will result in its detonation. And your license to kill does not include Manhattan residents. But don't fret, Mr. Bond. I'm sparing you the significantly more grisly fate that awaits the rest of the world.
007 Racing? So this is like a James Bond Mario Kart? Am I going to be racing against Octopussy and that Dr. Evil looking guy with the cat? How crazy is that? Well, it's not really a racing game, it's more of a driving game. The game is mission-based, and you do things you'd expect 007 to do. Like you save people from various militant groups, you stop various terrorists, things of that nature. You just don't get out of your car. It's like picture Driver 2, just with a lot more firepower. It's basically Driver 2 meets Twisted Metal, if that makes any sense. For the system and when it came out, the graphics are not impressive, but they're tolerable. They're not horrible graphics. I would say the graphics are up to par with Driver 2. It's not the best looking game for the PS1, but I'll accept it. It's just mediocre graphics, whatever. The missions are pretty interesting. There's all sorts of missions, as I've said. Save people, race against the clock, collect things, destroy enemy cars. Just things you'd expect to do in a mission-based driving game. The controls of the cars are not the best, but they're certainly not bad. You drive all kinds of different cars. The turning and aiming your car, especially when you want to drive into something to collect it, is a bit hard to get used to, but you do get used to it. I mean, this isn't the Dirt series or Gran Turismo, but the driving is, like the graphics, absolutely tolerable. I mean, I've reviewed a lot of games with some really bad driving, a lot of really bad PC driving simulators. Just gameplay that makes you want to rip your hair out. This gameplay doesn't make you want to rip your hair out. This game's main problem is the difficulty of the missions. Missions aren't too tough, but they're missions that are basically destruction derbies, where 007 is trapped in this circle with a bunch of enemy cars or vehicles trying to destroy him, and you have to destroy the vehicles before they destroy you. When the enemy is a little too close and it explodes near you, it takes a huge chunk of your health. I mean, the enemies are programmed to be attracted to you. They're basically like magnets, and they're constantly coming at you. You really only have that split second to actually shoot the enemy with a rocket before it's so close that even if it is destroyed, it'll take away like 20% of your life. And that adds up because there's a ton of enemies like this in these derby type levels. On top of the difficulty of regular cars coming at you, there's even forklifts in this game that can actually push you and pick you up and flip you over. The difficulty in these portions really bogs the game down. I wouldn't say it makes the game unplayable, but it definitely makes the game very frustrating. I like how big the environments are. The cutscene in the beginning of the game basically shows like every single awesome car chase sequence in every single James Bond movie ever made up to the point of this game's release, so that's pretty cool. The actual missions are also really well compartmentalized. You get to see cool cutscenes in between missions. You get a cool and complex, sophisticated explanation of the mission that you're about to partake in, so you actually feel like a 00 agent. There's even a score system in the game that gives you the incentive to replay the missions, so you raise your score. You get higher scores by ramming into less buildings, ramming into less cars, and things of that nature. I did, however, notice that I'm always number 2. I can never break that number 1 slot in the high scores. Damn you, Brian J. This isn't the last you've seen of me. 007 Racing is a mixed bag. For one thing, as I've said, it's not a racing game. It is a mission-based driving game. It has its really fun parts, but then it also has a lot of really frustrating parts that really hold this game back from being a good game. As it stands right now, I would give 007 Racing something like a 6 out of 10. This game is a mixed bag, so play at your own discretion. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, my friends.